This is a declaration of war. Israel has the full right to defend itself, like any other country in the world would. And we are doing just that. We are doing everything in order to stop this invasion. We will stay here, we will defend ourselves, and we will win this war against terror. 2 days ago, on Saturday morning, which is a Jewish holiday, the Simchat Torah, the Hamas terror organization launched a terror war against Israel. It started with over 2,000 missiles and rockets that was launched from the Gaza Strip towards Israeli population. And parallel to that, hundreds of terrorists from Hamas crossed the border between the Gaza Strip and Israel, invaded Israeli territory, and attacked brutally the towns and the kibbutz around the Gaza Strip. They murdered and massacred hundreds of people. We're talking about over 700 people that were massacred. They kidnapped and took hostage of dozens of people. We don't really know the numbers yet, but including families, children, women, elderly, Holocaust survivors, and they took them to the Gaza Strip. This is a declaration of war. Israel has the full right to defend itself, like any other country in the world would. And we are doing just that. The first part of the operation is to clear the terrorists that are still in Israeli territory. Actually, this morning, over 70 terrorists from the Hamas terror organization tried to enter Israel again, and they were stopped, but there are still terrorists coming from the Gaza Strip towards Israeli territories. We're doing everything in order to stop this invasion. Parallel to that, we're attacking terror infrastructure in the Gaza Strip, and we will do anything in our power in order to liberate the hostages that are held by the terror organizations in the Gaza Strip.
So you mentioned about 700, you said 700. Is that the number of casualties so far? Also, if you have figures of foreign nationals, because we know there have been some casualties of the foreign nationals as well, if you can give a figure of that.
There are, as far as we know, there are over 700 people, but this is not a final number. We know of foreign citizens that were killed, and we estimate that some of them were also kidnapped to the Gaza Strip. We don't have the exact information right now, but we're working on that in order to verify all the information we have.
So are there any evacuation plans from the countries that you know of, or that they have might reached you for, regarding the safety of their citizens?
We are evacuating people from that area in the south of Israel to the center of Israel. We are not evacuating people from the state of Israel, especially because this is the only place we've got. We have no other place to go to. We will stay here, we will defend ourselves, and we will win this war against terror.
So your prime minister in a televised address has said that we are at war and we will win it. What is the government strategy against Hamas, if you can talk about that as well, and also those who are supporting them?
Hamas is a terror organization, a brutal one. We saw the photos, the images in the last 48 hours. We saw the brutality of the executions that they made in the Israeli territory. And we will fight this terror organization. The only way to fight it is to get to each and every terrorist and have him pay the price. Not only the ones that participated, but also the ones that sent them, and the ones that financed them, and the ones that are behind them. We know that Iran is the main financer of the terror organizations in the Middle East, and they are also deeply involved in what happens in the Gaza Strip. They are pushing the terror organization to attack Israelis and Israeli citizens, and there will be consequences for this attack for each and every one responsible for the terrible attack against Israeli citizens.
So, what about the peace in the West Asia region? We have seen massive changes in the Middle East, like the Abraham Accords, saw the peace deal. Is that also, do you think, is that going back to square one? Will this war have a fallout on whole of the West Asia region and the world?
Israel is doing a lot in order to achieve peace in the Middle East. We've signed the Abraham Accords 3 years ago, and we are working in order to include other countries, Arab countries and Muslim countries, in the circle of peace. Unfortunately, this attack was not just against Israel, it was against the peace in the Middle East. Those terrorists see the peace as a direct effect on them because they are against any kind of peace and any kind of prosperity in the Middle East. We will do whatever it takes in order to maintain our peaceful relations with the Arab countries that are already signed peace agreement with us, and we will do whatever it takes in order to extend the number of countries that have peace with Israel.
So prayers are pouring from across the world. There has also been major support from your allies. Are you seeking any kind of military support from nations like we saw you announcement by United States? So are you seeking any kind of military aid from countries?
We saw the huge support and solidarity that we received from many countries and leaders in the Middle East, in the entire world, including the European Union, the United States, obviously, Latin America and Asia. We really appreciate this support. Israel will defend itself. We do have a special connection with the United States, and I think it's an important message that the United States stands with Israel in this difficult time and will help Israel defend itself. But the people on the ground, the soldiers, will be Israeli soldiers fighting against those terrorists.
So India too stands in solidarity with Israel. How do you see India's response as we saw the Indian Prime Minister coming out with a tweet on that?
We appreciate the support from the Prime Minister of India and from other leaders in India, but also from the people of India in general. We got thousands of messages of support from people in India, and we appreciate it, especially in this terrible time. It makes it heartwarming to see how the society in India stands with Israel on our difficult times and difficult days, and we will prevail, and we will remember exactly who stood with us and who supported us in our time of need.
So when it comes to Israel-India relationship, the bond has been very strong. Both the countries are part of groupings like I2U2 and the latest announced IMEC, the Middle East Economic Corridor. Do you think this war will have an impact on these?
No, I don't think the war will have an impact on the relations between Israel and India. And I do hope that those initiatives, like you mentioned, the corridor and the I2U2 will continue to flourish. This is not just for Israel, this is for the entire region. Every country member of those that is part of this initiative can gain from the important relations that we have, that we created with the UAE, with Bahrain, with Morocco. This will change the face of the Middle East. It's an important message, not just for the people of Israel and the people of those countries, but also for our neighboring countries, to see how the peace agreements can change the face of the Middle East and can make the Middle East a stable place and a place of prosperity. And I do believe that the strong relations between Israel and India will continue and get even stronger.
So are you seeing any country to act a mediator between the two conflicting parties, or any country who has approached you so far showing their interest in mediation?
We are not talking about mediation right now. we're still at war. There are terrorists in our country, and there are dozens of hostages that are in the hands of the terrorist organizations in the Gaza Strip, both Hamas and the Islamic Jihad. The first thing we should do before mediation is to defend ourselves and to get to those terrorists and to get each and every one of them to pay a price for what he did.
So, to what extent this conflict is supposed to go? We hope it stops very soon, but when can we expect some peace in the region?
I don't really think that we're in the right moment to talk about the end of this conflict. It's as I told you, we are still seeing terrorists coming from the Gaza Strip, trying to murder and massacre Israelis. The first thing we should do is defend ourselves against this barbaric attack, and this is exactly what we're doing now.